Welcome to the PT Legends podcast, where co-host Dave Bess and myself, Scott Carpenter, share our journey and secrets of success. From our humble beginnings as personal training employees of a big box gym to struggling studio owners that have made every mistake in the book, to where we are now, the owners of a multi-seven-figure business operating multiple personal training studios internationally, and now coach and mentor to fitness professionals in 5 countries and counting. This is our story, and these are our secrets. Subscribe to our podcast, learn, take action, and build your own fitness empire. Welcome, everybody, to the PT Legends podcast. It is Sunday, and this is Scott.
Dave, clocking in.
For another episode. So it's Sunday when we're recording this. And every Sunday I have a bit of a ritual. So that's where I do my week review of the previous week and the week preview of the one upcoming. And I plan to prioritize. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things that I do is I have a death calendar on my office wall.
Dark.
It's a little dark. When I first posted about this, people had 2 reactions. It was either I love it, it's super motivating and inspiring, or I have massive dread about my own mortality and how old I am. There was like no in between.
You can't pick an in between.
You can't pick an in between.
Any talks about death though, it's A or B.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love facing my own mortality and being aware of it. It really helps inspire me to live the life that I know I need to live.
It forces you to take action every day when you know you're on the time clock.
Absolutely.
The time clock of life. You're going to take more action. Yeah.
So basically, so what this is, and if you're watching the video, the video podcast, we'll have our guys insert in what this looks like. But it's at the title, it says Weeks of My Life. And essentially, there's 100 different rows and down and 52 columns across. Right? So there are 52 weeks in each year, and there's these little tiny boxes that go across. And they're open, and you fill them in once you've lived those. So I bought this a 2x3 poster that I framed, obviously without glass in the front. And I did it where it's already pre-filled in, so I didn't have to fill out 38 years of boxes. But I bought that, had delivered. I got you one too.
Yep.
So Dave is actually building his dream house, which is amazing. And he's got a killer office in a gym in there, and he's going to put this up on the wall.
I'm excited, but now I have to fill all because you got it. How long
I did it according to your birth date.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've been doing it for, how long have you been doing it for?
I would say about three months maybe.
Yeah. So I have to fill up
So you're going to have to fill in a few boxes. But not too bad. But yeah, so you basically look at this chart of 100 years and 52 weeks in each year, and then you can see how much is black and then how much is white. And it's crazy because you think if I'm 38, and all these years aren't guaranteed, by the way. You know, I could eat it tomorrow, you know. But when you look at 38 out of like 100 years, because we'll probably, with technology and the fact that we do what we do and take care of ourselves, there's a good chance we'll live 100 years.
We have the potential.
But, I mean, 38 now, you look at that and you look at all those boxes gone, and you're like, holy shit. Like, wow. And when I first did that, you know, when I look at that and I look at all those years, one feeling that came over me was like, look at all these years I've wasted, and I was lost. And like, that's one feeling that hits people is regret. Or like, man, I haven't done anything with my life. Or I wasted all those years doing stupid stuff. But you know what? And I had that too. But at the end of the day, it took me that long to become who I am now. And that's a journey. Like, it's obviously, you know, if I knew what I knew now and could go back, would I change things? Hell yeah. You know,
sure.
But the bottom line is I didn't know what I didn't know then, you know, and it took me a long time to live a purpose-driven life and to really find it and know that every day I am taking the actions to live the life I want to live, right? And to fulfill my purpose. And it kind of gets to, what your purpose is, which is a whole nother thing we'll talk about. But, the way I look at it is we always ask, what's the meaning of life? Right? And in other words, what do we expect out of life?
Yeah.
Or what do we expect from life? And I think it's the wrong way to go about it. I think the right question to ask is, what does life expect out of you?
Okay.
And I love that. So what does life expect out of you? This changes it. In other words, it's what can I contribute to this world? Right? I mean, that's a heavy responsibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we look at it as it's all about me, right? What do I want to get out of life? Well, what does the world expect out of me? And that's really cool. That helps me find meaning and find purpose. And I did not
You're going
create
deep
this
today.
Going deep. This is taking a turn.
I like it.
But this is actually from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, which is an unbelievable book. If anybody has not read it, it is fantastic. And it's basically a psychotherapist who went through the concentration camps. He was a Jew in World War II, and it's really heavy. You're going to want to cry reading it, but it is insanely inspiring at the same time, and an awesome read. But anyways, when I look at my death calendar, and
do you have these thoughts and you look at your death calendar?
We are crazy. What are you doing this for? But it's so I basically have to, fill in a box every week when I look at this, and I have it's an awesome reminder not to waste a week. Not to waste a week of my life, and to live with purpose, right? And it doesn't mean I'm perfect. It doesn't mean I nailed every step and I was super productive. It's not about that, really. But it's the fact that I'm taking time out, I'm looking at my life, and I'm happy with what I'm doing and what I'm choosing to do with my life. Because those regrets on people's deathbeds, I don't want to be that person. And that number one regret.
Yeah.
I can't remember where it's from, but from that worker in a hospice who interviewed so many, because that was their job, to take care of people in their final days. And they just always regretted that. The number one regret that came up was I wish I would have let myself be happier. It had nothing to do with, I wish I would have made more money.
Yeah.
I wish I would, nothing like that. Right. It was, I wish I would have let myself be happier. And for me, that's really finding my purpose and living my purpose. That's what leads to happiness to me.
I think that's the only thing that leads to happiness at the end
is.
of the day, is if you wake up with, you clock in on the game of life and you're like, okay, I have purpose to the day.
Exactly.
That's the only way you're going to be happy.
Exactly. In business, we've been through different stages where we're doing well.
But we're unhappy.
But we are unhappy.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because a lot of times in business, before we radically changed things, and where I had essentially worked myself out of business, where I only had, I could run the business in 5 hours a week. Sometimes that was where I was the most unhappy, was when it's okay, I've achieved functional retirement. As a business owner, I achieved functional retirement, but I didn't have a purpose, and I was lost. And there are no answers. I had to search for them. It was a really strange place to be in. And I felt alone, right? Because we weren't connecting and working together how we are now, right? And we didn't have these deep conversations at all.
It's a question I ask the end user, the client, especially if I'm talking with someone and they're obsessed with body composition, it's all about weight. It's all about weight. I ask them a question. If I had this magic pill, right, and you could take it and look the way that you wanted to, would that make you happy? But it's the same thing for us as business owners. If I had this magic pill and you could take it and have all the money in the world, would it make you happy? And the answer is no.
That's good.
Right? I mean,
that's
seriously.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's you have to wake up with something, that something in your heart and your soul that you're driving towards. And if you're not doing that, and something that you said, and it's not about you and it's not about me. I even use that in the sales pitch when I was talking to a client. Like, this isn't about you. This is about your family.
Mhm.
This is about your legacy. It's not about us. It's not about you listening out there. It's about that grander picture. And when you really accept that, and then you tackle the bull by the horns and you're saying, I'm
Yeah.
doing this for the greater good, that's the only way you're going to be happy. If you look at life in that selfish, oh, what's going to make me happy? No.
And that's immediately what we go to, right? Because we're in our heads. It's our brain. It's how we're wired with it. But yeah, when you have a bigger connection and a responsibility to everything else, it makes it easy to do things and fulfilling. Like the actions that you don't want to take right now, when you have meaning behind it, it makes it so much easier. And it goes back to that book too. It's a lot of it is on human suffering. And those who didn't have anything to live for, who didn't have meaning, they all died. Just they had no hope. They had nothing to live for. And those are the ones whose bodies just gave out. And those who had meaning, they found some meaning in life. If you can do that, you'll find any way how. The how becomes much easier when you know why you're doing it. And there's meaning to it. And that's a lot of what he developed his therapy to be, was finding meaning and purpose. And it's unbelievable how you can change your habits and your lifestyle and your mindset when you attach meaning to something.
It's interesting with that calendar, like, because I haven't got to fill mine out yet, and I'm looking forward to it. And my thought when I start like marking off all my boxes and look at the first 35 years of my life, I was just so unhappy.
Yeah.
And so my thought's going to be, I wasted it. Like,
Yep.
I wasted, but no, because it led us to this moment right here. So for anyone listening out there, right, it doesn't matter if you've wasted days, weeks, years, decades.
Doesn't matter.
Find it. Find your purpose. Because when you find your purpose, man, it's exciting to check off those boxes on your death calendar, right?
It's super exciting. And I get to fill it in and be like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Things could have went terribly awry, this and that. But the bottom line is, I get to look back and I get to fill that box in and be like, that was a good week. I lived my purpose this week. And it doesn't mean I was perfect. It doesn't mean I got everything done. It doesn't mean I didn't relax. Like, I'm living my life with purpose. And it feels good to fill that in. Really does. And it's just a constant reminder. The best part about it every week is not to waste a week. Because they got this upcoming week and like, do I want to waste it? Or do I want to do the things that are going to lead me to live my best life? So it's that inspiration not to waste a week. And this doesn't mean be super productive all the time and, get everything done and work. And that's not what it means. Because a lot of times we do have to relax. We do have to reset. We need time off. But that you should be doing that with a purpose. You should be like, man, I've been working really hard. I need a break. I need to recharge. I need to reset, and do it as part of your plan. But a lot of times we give ourselves the excuse of doing nothing and just watching TV and just screwing off and doing whatever because we just feel we need a break and need to relax. But what it really is we're avoiding important things, tackling important things in our life. The uncomfortable things that are going to move you forward. We tend to avoid it, and then we kind of convince ourselves that we're just need to, right? But at the end of the day, we're just lost. We're lost. And I don't want to, I've been there. I did that for years. That's my, the regret, right? That's where I see it is for so many years, I didn't do anything. It was like I was frozen. It was like I was paralyzed with fear that I'm not living the life I want to live, and I don't know how to get out of it. I didn't know. And it's just like I had so many years in my 20s where I was unhappy. It just took me so long. And like we said, I don't feel like I was truly living my life until, almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And
that's scary.
It is scary.
Well, what's also scary, this is something that I think about all the time. We've only been living our life the way we should for the past year and look at everything that's happened.
Yes.
I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a monumental rise on all areas of our life. Talking business-wise, financial-wise, relationship-wise, self-awareness, my personal growth, education, like on all levels.
We've lived 20 years the last year.
Yes. Yeah.
That's wild.
It is. And it's crazy, but it is like that hockey stick-like growth, right? Where it's just boom, 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 and all of a sudden, bam, it hits. And for those of you who are like, wow, I'd really want that, you'll get it. Like, you gotta learn what you don't know right now. And you might not know exactly where that is. Start somewhere. In our case, it was working with hiring different coaches, reading lots of books, working on finding our purpose, working together. And I wouldn't have gotten there without others.
No, a person can't discover that purpose without having a guide.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's not possible.
Yep. Absolutely. And it's going to come from several different areas too, right? Like books I read have had a profound impact. And the great thing is, in our legacy mastermind, we get to share all that with the personal development and finding purpose and finding your meaning. That's some of the most fun that I have doing.
For you,
yeah.
that's your real purpose right there.
It is. Because it changed my life.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of why you as fitness professionals do what you do. Like fitness has profoundly impacted and changed your life in some big way. And you want to do that for other people. And so you're passionate about that. And if you've lost that passion because you've gotten into the weeds on business and COVID and problems with staff and hiring and trying to make the bills, and the ends meet without working 60 hours a week, like it gets easy to lose the purpose and lose that drive of why you got into this in the first place. And that's a big reason why Ryan started with us just recently too. Like, man, he's good, but like he got dragged into the business at some point and kind of lost that mojo, that reason for doing it. And yeah, he's going to make a lot more money and his lifestyle's going to get better and all that. But at the end of the day, his biggest thing was just like, yeah, I need to get that drive back and I want to have that purpose. And I want to make the impact on people's lives because I've gotten away from that. And it's easy because it's easy to get away from that because this business is hard. It's very hard.
I mean, we had an episode a couple of weeks ago. We talked about ambulance and police.
Right.
Like literally, my God, the fitness industry. And it can be so ugly at times too.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get out of the bumper lanes in this industry. And, especially, charging rates that some gyms are, and then their clients aren't bought in.
Yeah.
And so it's so easy. Every fitness professional comes into this with the purpose of changing lives. But if they don't have the right system in place, they learn to almost hate the industry.
Yeah. And you look at like the bad clients and you're just like, and it can be very disheartening sometimes when people don't really value the hard work that you're putting in. But you can change that. Like that's half our fault, at least. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are some people out there who are they what they are? We need to fire them, because they're not a good fit and they're whatever. But usually they're that way because we haven't framed things right from the get-go. Yep. And we haven't gotten to the real root of the reason why they're here. And we haven't displayed the value and what we're going to bring to the table and offer them the real solution to the real problem. So it's of our own making with most of it.
It needs the conversation in that consult with the end user needs to be more about the conversation we're having right here and less about macronutrients and workouts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's honestly, that's the key to selling high ticket programs.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
it is.
You have to have an honest conversation with someone, and it almost always boils down to the question at the end of like, are you living a life with purpose? Are you living your life? And then when they say no, because guess what? Most people aren't. They say no. then you say, well, this is how we're going to build a life with purpose.
Yep.
And then they shake their heads.
Yeah.
And then
that's the only way they're going to change and make lasting change. Because unless they attach this weight loss to something greater than that, they're never going to do everything necessary, and they're never going to keep doing it. You've got to help them live. The whole goal is help them live their best life, because you get one of them on this earth. Mm-hmm. That is it. And so to live your best life, you really have to figure out what direction you're heading, and that can change many times in your lifetime. But then it boils down to, okay, what are the key actions I got to take every day to make that happen? And that's what it is. That's the purpose-driven life really comes down to taking these small actions every single day. And that's what our whole program revolves around. It's identifying where you're at now, who you are now versus who you want to be. And then what are the habits and the actions I got to take every day to get there? And it's as simple as that. And your purpose changes. It's not like purpose is hard to nail down because we think like, I got to find the one thing. It changes throughout your lifetime. Because as you live with purpose, you're going to have a greater impact on other people. And then opportunities will come your way, because the more value you put out there, the more help, you'd be surprised what comes back in return. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, you can be at places you never thought imaginable or never thought possible when you start taking action like this. And your purpose will change in a year or less, or 2 or 3, because you'll be able to have a greater impact than you ever thought possible, than you think is possible now. So don't worry about like, oh, my life's purpose. Your life's purpose is your purpose right now. Mm-hmm. And that will be different 3 months from now. That'll likely be different 6 months and a year from now. I always found that very difficult with long-term goal planning or vision planning, or what's your like, I don't know what it's going to be 20 years from now. I think it's going to be bigger than I would imagine sitting here right now.
I would almost guarantee it.
Exactly.
If the last year
last year is any indication.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about where you're going to be when you're 80. It's about who you want to become now, and then what actions you got to take now. It's all about now. Don't put this stuff off. Don't wait till it's perfect. There is no perfect. Don't wait till all the resources align. The planets are not going to align for you to start. They never will. You just have to go.
And even living a life like we're living right now, it's really, really hard. Mm-hmm. I would probably say there's more bad days than good days.
Yeah.
Think about that right now. Like, even though we're on this trajectory to where we want to go, there's still a lot of bad days along the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the key, having that north compass.
Definitely.
If you don't have that, what happens when things really get bad? You have to have that North Star.
You do. Because you just give up if you don't. And this kind of ties in. I'm a big fan of Stoic Philosophy, right? And they're really big on recognizing your own mortality too. And so that's what this I call it the death calendar, the weeks of my life. Like I get to face my own mortality every week, and it challenges me. It challenges me to do what needs to be done, and I'm not letting obstacles. I'm not letting obstacles get in my way. One of my favorite books is The Obstacle is the Way.
Yeah.
I read that every time I'm going through really tough stuff. And it's very motivating, very inspiring. It's very, there's a lot of Stoic philosophy in it. But, the obstacle is not the impediment to your path. Like, it actually becomes the way. The fact that you experience hardships and obstacles and setbacks and defeats makes you, as long as you take action, makes you what you are and makes you better. It makes you become what you are. And that's what I look at. When I look back at those 7 years of wasted life, that made me what I am today. Iron sharpens iron. And it makes me insanely grateful for where I am now, what we're doing, and makes me insanely hopeful because I'm like, holy cow, if I fill this box in every single week and I make the most of it, I can't even imagine where I'll be in 20 years.
Without all of the mistakes that we made, we wouldn't be where we are
Would
today.
have never been here.
We had to have that. I think Goggins called it a callus, got to callus your
Yeah.
mind, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to take losses.
The obstacle becomes the way.
Yeah.
We just talked about it on one of the previous podcast episodes. Every single thing that was horrendous in business that happened
Yeah.
actually ended up being the best thing that could have happened. And if you go through life with that attitude, you will have no idea where you'll end up. It's the number one thing. So the obstacle is the way. And that calendar, facing that every week, is my inspiration. I love it. I know it terrifies a lot, and you feel like you're older, maybe you haven't achieved what you did, or you wasted years. Get that out. It's all about the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the present moment and the actions you got to take now to live your best life.
It's so simple.
It is. It is so simple.
Right? I mean, if you look at our compliance trackers, so we build ours out, and this would be a future podcast every 9 weeks, right?
Yep.
My actions that I'm taking right now over the course of the next 9 weeks are just so simple.
Right.
But I'm clicking it off, and it's just massive, massive change.
Yeah. It's simple things.
It's almost, the simpler it is, the better.
The simpler it is, the better. Because it's really all about these meta habits that translate to every area of your life. So I don't know. I love that thing. We'll get a picture up. So if you're not watching this, if you're listening to this over audio, go to our Facebook page. We'll have it posted in there some way. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You'll probably see it next to one of my swords because I do historic fencing like a nerd. But yeah, I love that thing. Dave's is going up in his office.
Yep.
Once his dream house is built. Congrats on that, Dave.
No swords in my office.
But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you got a lot from this episode. And if you want to hear more about this kind of stuff, drop some comments and let us know too. We want to talk about the things that are interesting to you as well. So thanks for listening, guys. We will see you on the next episode. Dave and myself, Scott, would love to thank you for tuning in and listening to the PT Legends podcast. You can get direct access to us by joining our free Facebook group. Go to www.facebook.com/groups/7-figure personal trainer. That's 7-figure personal trainer with the number 7. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep on learning and keep on living. Finally, if you picked up any tips whatsoever in this episode that you found helpful, be sure to leave us a review and tell us what you like best about it. Can't wait to see you on the next episode.